Hi everyone. So I'm Alex. I'm a backend developer at Lostmy.name. I've been there for about 3 years now, and today I'm gonna go through some of the fun, exciting struggles and experiments we had since we moved to Solidus. And Solidus is helping us deliver magical, personalized products to all of our customers around the world. So sounds like a very lofty title. So what am I really going to be talking about today is going to be how to enable Solidus to sell personalized products. And when we talk about personalized products, we mean you go on the website and you make a book, you put your name in, and we make it for you and only for you. So everything we sell is like quantity one. And the second thing that I'm going to be talking about is how to handle multiple stock locations and global shipping. So right now in our system, I think we have 12. We just onboarded a few more, so maybe we have more than 12 stock locations around the world. Out of those, we have 5 in the US. So shipping inside of the US can get pretty complex sometimes. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that we did to tackle some of that complexity. And these are 2 things that we think we do pretty well with Solidus, and we just want to share that with you guys. So a bit, to take you a bit to the start of when this journey started. I wanted to find a nice pre-logo, but I couldn't really find it, so I just took it and put the Solidus logo. So 3 years ago, we started on what was then Spree, and we had an old website, and we tried to move it to a more stable e-commerce platform. And we have some unique requirements, and we always push the guys from Solidus to do things, and they push back and say you need to do this better and do that better. So to clarify a bit, when I say Spree and when I say Solidus, because these things are gonna get a bit confusing. So we started with Spree in June 2014, and then over that summer there was a lot of late nights and sleepless nights, and eventually in September we were able to get Spree in production. Then we survived Q4, and then we did an upgrade we survived Q4. Then we said, okay, that went well. Now let's do a Spree upgrade, because that was meant to be pretty easy, right? And we did a Spree upgrade, and we didn't realize that this is gonna take. So we started doing the Spree upgrade, I think, just after January. It took us about 3 months to actually upgrade the version of Spree. It was one of the most painful things that I've did in my entire life. It's pretty bad. And then after we did that, 2 months later, someone came up and was like, hey, they just launched a new version of Spree. Why don't you just upgrade again? And we're like, yeah, right. And then it took us another solid 2 months to go to Spree 2.4. And then in September, Clark, I think, sent an email around saying, hey guys, there's this thing Solidus, or Patrick found out about it in some way. And then in September 2015, we jumped on the Solidus ship, and then we survived Q4 again. And I mean, you guys are like, why do you mean survive Q4? And I think everyone in this room knows that e-commerce is a pretty seasonal business. And when Christmas comes, it's presents time. But for us, this is how the sales graph look, and those massive spikes are in 2 weeks time. So that around 10th of December, things go pretty crazy, and we have days where we sell in an hour more than we sell in a day in the most of the year. So for us, going through Q4 is it's a pretty big thing. So a bit about the company now. There's going to be some other guys talking about Lostmy.name, so I'm not going to go into all of the magical details and all of the nice stuff we do. But this is how our product catalog looks right now. We have 5, 6 customizable products. I've lost count right now. And to help us sell this, we have a backend, which is a Solidus app, and then on the front end we have a brand new React.js app that does all of the nice looking web pages. But let me take you guys all the way back to the start, when we're just 3 engineers and we basically had no e-commerce experience. We didn't really know a lot of the things that we know today, and we felt that great, we need to get a nice platform that can scale very well. So okay, we found Spree. So for people that had no experience coming to a project that had some guidelines, and you had a starting point, you could take it and then do your own thing with it. It was massive. It was very good. But we still felt every day we're just writing these bespoke algorithms, and we're creating magic, because Spree felt pretty magical back then. You're like, oh, we just changed this thing and nothing really happens. So, before we moved to Spree, we had a website that pretty much looked like this. We had 3 models. We had an order, a book, and a payment, and that was it. And then we went to Solidus. And then basically went from like 3 models to like 2 dozen, and we didn't really know like what was what. And if you don't believe me, that's like the ERD of Solidus, so it really is like pretty massive. And we suddenly had it to start thinking about some of these things like line items and inventory units and shipping rates. I'm like, guys, we just want to sell books. Like do we need all of that stuff? And soon enough, we started to learn like, yeah, you need line items, and you need shipments and stock locations and all of these terms. They were like brand new to us, and we had no idea what we really subscribed to. It's like it's 3 guys trying to do e-commerce. So we started with the basics. We started like, okay, we need to serve and sell personalized content to our people. So we were like, okay, great. We went on this open source e-commerce platform that's been used. Like it was said that it was the largest e-commerce platform that's being used by people at that point. So we're like, great, people are selling custom stuff on the internet. There must be someone else trying to do this. And we just then found out there's this concept of extensions, and like Spree had an extension environment where you could go and find other people's code and use that, and said, okay, we'll go find an extension to do customizable products. And at this point, we really didn't know what an extension was, or how a product worked, or what a product is and what it isn't. And then after a few days, we're basically, okay, no, we can't really use anything. We just have to write our own. And I think we tried like maybe 2 or 3 different ones trying to get it to work for us, and like we failed pretty much miserably. And then we're like, okay, we'll just write it. But then, right, we're paid to write code. It's pretty much our job. We should be able to just do this, and it shouldn't be that hard. Or that's at least what we thought. And then we came up to the point, it was like, okay, cool, we're gonna write code, but what do we actually write? Like, where does this code go? We went from 3 models to like that massive beast, and we're like, right, okay, we're gonna write some codes. Need to figure out what we write. We're like, okay, cool, we're gonna put in the model. Perfect. We have a starting point. We have a place where you can save all of our information, and that's great. But where does it fit in the puzzle? Where does it actually go? Like, which model do you link it to? Do you link it to products? Do you link it to line items? Do you link it to shipments? It was all confusing back then. We had no idea what we were doing. And at that point, we only really had like 2 products, the Lostmy.name girl book and the Lostmy.name boy book. So you can think of it as, we had 2 products, or 1 product and 2 variants, or 1 product with no variants, and everything was just going on the customization. We had no idea what we were doing. So the next point, we were like, we just really need to understand what variants mean. And we got to the point where like, right, we're looking at all of these tables, and we have no idea how these things talk to each other, or what do they do. So the first sample we had was around product and product option types. And right, I'm not sure how many people here really like have a good, solid understanding of how this thing actually works behind the scenes. It feels like magic sometimes. And so you have a product that has product option types. So how would that really work in real life? So you have a t-shirt that will have a size, and that will be the way you can differentiate 2 t-shirts. Okay, but then where are the variants? So the variant would be like you have a large t-shirt, and you'd have a value for the option type of large, and that's how you'd get a variant, by you'd populate the option types with values. And we thought, cool, that sounds pretty great. So we now can go and model our own data model on it and say, okay, so we have a Lostmy.name book that has a gender and a locale, and at that point we knew that in the future we might do like hardback books, and our data model might change. But we said, okay, this is good enough for now. So we went on and we created some variants, and although we didn't really model softback into our products, we just added it in there to be future-proof. Later on, we regretted this very, very much, and we had some massive problems about it. So we had a good understanding of what products and variants are, and we just went back and started thinking about where to put our customization class. So after a few days of fiddling, we figured out like the line item would be like the right place for it, because you'd have a link to the variant, so that would tell you what, if it's a boy book, it's a girl book. And then it's also pretty nice that line items just stick around. You know, like you get a line item the moment you get a line item the moment someone adds something to the cart, and the line item is a pretty stable object. It just stays around. You know, it doesn't get deleted. It doesn't just disappear when you change your address or any other magical things such as inventory units, which just sometimes just go, and you can't really like, you know, they just get regenerated for no really good reason. And we're on Spree 2.0, so you know some of this stuff might not really apply today, where things are way better than they were back then. So you know some of this bashing is based on that code, and nowadays it's a lot better. Like you guys are getting a treat in terms of just like performance, documentation, and all those kind of things. It's way better now than it used to be. So you know we got to the point where like, okay, great. So we have a model. Then we quickly put together a controller to be able to edit all of this customizable stuff. And then we got to the point where like, okay, we create a new route, and then we got introduced to this thing of decorations. And like, you had to decorate things to get them to do what you wanted to. And it was like, initially we thought, that's pretty cool. You know, we can just use that code and like slightly tweak it. But then we were like, okay, decorations are good for now. Then we had a book in the cart, and we got to this point, and you know we're able to add like a customized product and have it in the cart, and it was all working great for us. And you know it was overwhelming. We were using Spree, had a lot of decorators, so there were ups and downs, but you know we were in the cart. We still have to like go to the checkout, take their payment, and do all of these things. But we said, okay, we go to the cart. That was the hard part, because we had to model all of these things, all of these new data concepts that were not in Spree. But from here on, you know, you have shipments, you have addresses, you pretty much have everything. So it should be pretty easy. Nope, it was not. It was not that easy. It was, you know, from the cart onwards, we had to tweak pretty much every single step that comes around shipping and stock and inventory, because for us, everything that we do is, you know, is we print it for you, so it's on demand, so we don't really have stock, but we somehow do have stock, so there's like a weird thing there. So you know there's our second complication. So being an on-demand business, we have the concept of availability. We don't really talk about stock. We know if someone can produce something or they can't, and that's pretty much all that we talk about and how we model it in our system. And you know, we were able to use this amazing screen from Spree that is now in Solidus, and this is how it looks for us. And with this, we're right now, I think we're managing like 900 different stock items, I think they're called. But there are some quirks in this image. There's like, we don't know why we have negative counts. No one can really tell us why we have negative counts, but you know, it works. So we don't really like try to make to reason it. It was like, yeah, why'd you guys have, is that how many we've sold? No, it's not really. We just have negative counts. We don't know why. And if you untick the backwardable box, you'd think like we would stop selling that thing from that location. Doesn't really mean that. You just untick a box, doesn't have absolutely no effect on anything. Then you think like, no normal system, you hit the edit button, you'd be able to delete something. Doesn't really happen. The delete button no longer exists. So you have to like go in production and delete things straight from the database. So you know, there are some quirks about this system, but most of the days it works for us. So you know, we took this from Spree and we're like, okay, this will do. This is fine. And then we moved on to the next thing, the next concept around stock locations. And this is one of the things that we customized the less. We just added some very business specific things like working days and capacity and you know, holiday calendars, because people in the US have different holiday systems than us in Europe, surprising as that may be. And then we went on to shipping methods. And like Clark spoiled it a bit in his talk, but like shipping methods are one of the things that we like massively had to hack. And like when I mean massively had to hack, we like literally tore it apart and then put it back together, and it doesn't really look the same anymore. But the problem we had is like originally in Spree 2.0, there was no relationship between the source and the destination of something. So in In Spree 2.0, all you had was, you had the Spree shipping method that would go to a Spree shipping method zone, and that would end up in a zone. So at this point, you know that you're sending something somewhere, but you don't know where it's coming from. Or you know that you're sending it to the US, or you're sending it to the UK, but you don't know where it's coming from. And I think for most businesses, and from talking to people around the room, it's somewhat okay, because most guys have like one stock location or two stock locations and just like ship from there. But for us, that we have like, we ship from the US to the US internally, but then we also ship from the UK to the US. And then suddenly you have like different pricing and different durations and all of these slightly different things that we couldn't really tell when was one method and when was the other method. So, we slowly started to say, okay, we're gonna try and model this, and the business was very flexible with us. Okay, we can't really do this, great, we're just gonna model around it. And then we started adding more stock locations, and we went from 1 in the US to 2 in the US, and then we started to have to do string interpolation and do matches on strings, and people started to have to name things the right thing. And you know how you tell people like everything that's internal has to have internal in the name. Yeah, that didn't really work. So then we had to go and like try to redesign it, and that's how the commit basically looked. Which is like, it was some dark days back then. We were just like trying to make this work, and didn't really work. And then we went back to drawing board and said, okay, we need to better model this relationship. So we said, okay, we need to know where something comes from to be able to accurately determine its price and duration. So we added that stock location to shipping method to zone. So at this point, you basically know where something was coming from, via what was going to, and where it was going to be delivered. So we had a full source to destination relationship, and this change I think has been upstreamed in Solidus maybe like, I don't know, a while back, like maybe 6 months ago or something like that. And I'm not sure how many of you guys are aware of this or how many people actually use this modeling, but for us it made a massive difference in like how sane we could keep our code base. So moving on, we said, okay, we have a data model. That's great. This is gonna cover like most of the shipping stuff is gonna be fine, and we'll be good, because we just had to refactor all of this stuff. We still had decorators, but we said, okay, we'll go back to where we were. We had a book in the cart, and at this point we should be able to just like ship it, right? We now have all of this logic. And how do you ship a book? You take a box, which is the shipment, put the book in, add a shipping label, and just go. But we just got stuck at the first point, which is like create a shipment. Because that sounds pretty easy, You have these helpers in Solidus that create a shipment. Yeah, that didn't really work for us. We came to this magical set of classes, like 5 classes: the coordinator, the builder, the prioritizer, the estimator, and the validator. These are some of the most gnarly things you can find in the code base. If you want to have fun, just go read some of that code. And while you're having fun, you're gonna start crying at one point, which is what we did for like a week while we're trying to figure out, why is this thing not really working? And we had 2 books in the cart, and then we were getting 3 packages with 2 books each. It's like, no, we're only selling 2 of them. We don't want to send 6 out the door. So then, we started looking at these and these are default components that ship with Spree or Solidus, and like their responsibilities slightly change over the years, but it pretty much stay the same. Like the builder builds all possible packages, which doesn't sound like something you want to do, but it's how it does it. And then the prioritizer, which is the only place that's recommended to customize, stores the packages based on like magic rules that you come up with, and then it balances the packages. And this is the point where like we sort of stopped understanding what it's trying to do, and it says like you have 5 packages, we're just going to pick the ones that we think are going to make up the composition of your order. So if you buy like 2 t-shirts, we're going to select just 1 package with 2 t-shirts, or 2 that you eventually end up with 2 t-shirts, but no one really knows how that it is doing that, and doesn't seem to be really doing that. And then there's the estimator, which creates shipping rates, which is a pretty simple thing. And then you have the validator, which is the best thing, because that validator validates that what you asked for is actually what you get. But the validator is pretty bad at this job. Like sometimes it just doesn't work. It validates like, oh, you asked for quantity 3, you're getting quantity 5. It's great. It's valid. Keep moving along. And so we looked at this code and like we're great. We just got to decorate. So we started with the recommended place of decoration, which was this sort packages method, which literally says order packages by preferred stock locations. Initially, we're like, what do we do with this? It's just like you just write your own. Like, great. We're just gonna write some custom code right now. We had 2 stock locations, so our logic was just a big if case. It was like, if it's in the US, go to that stock location. If it's not in the US, go to the completely different stock location. We said, like, great, this looks very sustainable and it's gonna really work over time. And then we changed this if into like a switch case, and then we started doing like adding numbers up and say if it's in the Europe and then is this country, and then we started doing sums, and that didn't really work out. And this system right now is like 5 different classes in our code base, just like to sort packages. It's like, who would have thought one function that like innocently says order packages will become so complex? And then we moved on to the adjusting part. And this is the part where we sort of lost us, because we had like these custom items that could not be, like their properties were not fully determined by the variant. So we had the name and everything we saw being quantity 1. This prioritizer thing was trying to like give us packages with quantity 3 of one book. We're like, no, they're different. It needs quantity 1. So we had to like hack this code together, and we always had like very, very, very nice comments going along, but it was some pretty gnarly stuff. And I just want to say to everyone, like, this is not how our code looks right now. These things got fixed with Solidus, and we struggled to like upstream some of these changes, and some of them are up there. And going into the code base today, you won't really have to fight most of these things. So then we went on and like we decorated a lot. And when I mean a lot, I mean like we just went like batshit crazy. That's like a normal spree installation, and then on the right hand side is pretty much what our code base looked like. And that doesn't really like, it's not even a fair representation. Like I couldn't find a more decorated Christmas tree. Like I tried, but like there's nothing. We just had like decorations on top of the decorations. It's like, we were running spree, but we didn't really know if we're running our code or like spree code. There were pages where like the content was getting changed. We're like, is this us? Where is this them? We're running off master at that point, and then we said, oh, yeah, we just pulled in some new code. Payments no longer work. Or we just put in some new codes. This whole prioritizer thing no longer works. There were some days where like, there were a lot of questions of how this thing is actually working. And we had, back then, we didn't really know a lot of the things that we do today. But slowly and, eventually we got to the point where the business came back and like, hey guys, this spree thing, it needs to be a website. Can we like purchase a book? Can we like do that? And at this point, if we recap, we like decorated, we created our own customized class that we linked it to the line items. We completely remodeled the shipping methods to stock location relationship. And then we went and decorated the coordinator class. So it felt like, we had a good grasp of things, so we should be able to just purchase a book. And it was one of the most magical days, and I remember it was me and Patrick in the office, and like, okay, now we have a shipment. Now we have some shipment rates. What about if the payments just worked? It was a faith test, we put in the test Stripe card details. We were sitting there, it was like, do we hit the button? Do we want to find out if something just works? And we're like sitting there, okay, just hit it, and we hit enter, and it was magical. Payments just worked out of the box. It was incredible. It was the one thing that we didn't really have to like change, but we thought that's great. Payments work. 2 weeks later we found out our customer support couldn't do refunds, so we're like, payments don't really work. That's fine. We could at least take people's money. We don't need to give it back. We can take their money. It's good. It's a good start. And along the way we learned some lessons. And the first thing is like, if you want to do personalized products in Solidus, if you've done e-commerce before, it's pretty easy. If you haven't done e-commerce before, as per Clark's slides, you need to go make those mistakes somewhere else and then come to Solidus, and it's going to be really easy. But what we learn is basically, doing personalized products in Solidus is not that hard. And there are some people around here that do that. And once you figure out sort of like how Solidus works and where are the right points to attach your models and to have your data, it's pretty great. And the sky's the limit from there on. You just need to you can go really crazy. However, there are still some things that we're not very good at. And I want to share that with you as well. So we still have some hacks in our code base around how we do gift wrap. I'm not sure how many people here have to fight with that, but we do, all of our products are gift wrapped, and the way we do pricing for that in 10 different currencies, it's a YAML file. Yep. And now we have a pricer that makes that somewhat nicer, but it's still pretty bad, and it's still a YAML file. Can't really A/B test gift wrap prices. Nope, can't do that. If you want to change it, you change it for everyone in US dollars. So that's still one problem that we're trying to figure out how to sort that out. And the next big lessons that we had was state machines. State machines are hard, and Solidus has a lot of them. You have a state machine on basically any single model that you can have a state machine. Just put a state machine in there, it'll be right. Oh, you want one on order? Have that. Shipment? Yep. Oh, on payments, yeah, it makes total sense to have a state machine on a payment. Great. And then we said, okay, we have all of these different state machines. How about if we add our own? So then we added a state machine to our own model. And that state machine was reliant on all of the other state machines to stay in sync. So now if you want to advance something in our own model, we have to advance 5 different state machines. So don't do state machines. That's basically the takeaway. And then second big thing was around the complex shipping rules. Everyone, e-commerce is evolving, and Clark said that very well. And we have some complex stuff going on. And the moment you start getting more than you start shipping from more than maybe 3 locations, you need to start really start looking at that code and try and make sense of it. And we're trying to figure out how to improve some of the default shipment stuff in Solidus, and we have some open issues around it, and we're really willing to talk to anyone who has some problems around shipping, and to try to help us understand some of the problems you guys have, and then basically tell you where we're struggling so that we can sort of together work to a solution. And that basically brings me back to lesson number 3, which is just engage with the community. There are a lot of smart people, and a lot of those smart people do use Solidus. Most of them are in this room. Those that are not in this room, they're all around the globe, and Clark showed 1,000 people in the Solidus Slack channel. So there's a lot of guys that, just you can ask around, and everyone has their unique challenges to their business, and being able to just open an issue and you have all of the great core contributors, just no one's really bashful. Everyone is really helpful, and just you can ask these stupid questions and you will get answers. I always found that very surprising, because sometimes in the Spree channel you ask something and there's just silence. You didn't really get to hear back, and the community around Solidus is really great, and everyone should try and engage and ask questions and get feedback. And for us, when we started, we were 3 guys, no e-commerce experience. And I vividly remember a day when we sent an email to Clark, and it's hey Clark, we want to do this stock bundle inventory. We just dropped keywords in there, and then Clark was oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, and this is how you do it. I can't really tell you that we've done this in a place and it worked, but these are some of the pointers. And it was amazing to have that, to tap into all of their experience and be able to get some of that information out of there. And it's great to have Jordan working for Lostmy.name. So we have we have our ear into the Solidus, and then he can also complain of all of the bad things that we face, and is just go back and be guys, this is really bad, we need to fix it. And then that, business requirements change often, and most of the time you have to constantly review and iterate. And it's more true nowadays that people are starting to mobile payments and like this the Apple Pay and all of these like things that introduce different requirements and different, strain the business in different ways. And it's, I think, having a massive community like we have around Solidus is one of the best things that you can get from this. And I think that's it for me. Thank you, guys.
Thanks to Alex. We have some time for some questions. So the procedure I'd like to do for questions, if you could just shout at Alex, if then you could then repeat the question so we have it on the video feed or things like that. And so that any of you who didn't hear, so for the first person shouting can know what the question being asked is. So if you have any questions, please just raise your hand.
Crystal clear. Go.
How many shipping methods do you have now?
So Clark asked how many shipping methods we have right now. I don't know, but over 70. So what we do, so I can, if I just go back to this. So the way we model it, so for each stock location, we have different shipping methods. So for example, in the US, for one location, we have a domestic US standard shipping method. Then we have a USPS one, then we have FedEx, and then we have some fancy next day stuff. But then if they ship outside of the US, they get another 3 shipping methods. So like one for international, and then if you have that's one stock location. We have 12 stock locations. So like each stock location has like an average of maybe 6 shipping methods. So it goes up really, really quickly. And the reason for that is we need to model pricing differently. So if you send US internally from one location, it's like $5. If you send internationally, it's 15, 20, whatever. So we have a lot of shipping methods. Yes, Clark.
Do you import the delivery tables as well? You said you do holidays for warehouses.
Yeah.
Do you do delivery tables?
So Clark asked if we do delivery, location, holidays, and the answer is no. We didn't do them last year, but we're working to do them for this year, because when you ship from like the UK to Spain, again, Spain has different holidays, so it might the guys in the UK might work and they might put it on put it in Royal Mail and it might go, but then as soon as it reaches Spain, there's like, oh, national holiday, post is not really working today. So we model around that. We have a pretty complex system around like delivery dates and estimations, but there's just loads of data. Yep.
How do you calculate all the prices for that? I mean, where's that raw data coming from?
So Brian asked, how do we calculate the prices of our shipping methods? I'm not proud to say it. It's coming from Excel. Yep. But then we have like on Solidus, we created our own. We have a calculator, it's like a multi-currency calculator. It just has like a JSON field. So you say in pounds is this much, in dollars is this much. Because then, of course, you have people that ship internally to the US, but they want to pay in Japanese yen. Those guys exist. Like, I don't know who is in the US that wants to pay in Japanese yen, but we have those guys. So we price all of our methods manually, and it's a pretty difficult job. We're now trying to think of ways to like have, more like have some price bands or some more sane way. Because right now, if you want to up the price for like all internal US methods, you have to do that like 15 times. So it's not that great. Yep.
With all those different shipping methods, how are you like integrating with the actual tools that actually produce shipping labels and deal with crossing country borders and things like that?
So the question was, if we have that many shipping methods, how do we integrate with all of the label printing and like the fulfillment side of things? So each we map our shipping methods to aliases. We don't do fulfillment ourselves, so we work with warehouses and we tell them we ship with so our shipping methods eventually map into like FedEx 48 hours, blah blah, and they get the whole thing and they just have software that prints the label. We try to improve that system and make it a bit more sane, because beforehand we just had magic that said domestic standard and they just picked something. We didn't really know how we were shipping stuff. We just knew that we were sending it domestically. But now we iterated on that a bit, so we have some, we map it into a code. I think that's like default Solidus. You have like a code, and that maps onto like an actual shipping method that exists in the real world. Cool. If that's all, thank you guys.